My name is Tetteh Felix, a young cocoa farmer from Ghana, West Africa precisely, and a member of a Fairtrade certified organization called Asetenapa Cocoa Cooperative. I have 2 acres of cocoa and I've been farming for 9 years now. I like farming because of the fact that cocoa is the main raw material for chocolate. I produce one of the best products that is used for chocolate, which serve as a food for other people in the world. It gives me joy when I produce cocoa.
We use pre-free cocoa in the internet cafe. This is our show.
We work with international partners.
There is cocoa grown. Cocoa thrives on a fertile land or a land suitable for cocoa production, and that's a land that has clay soil. So after getting your land, you clear the land and you leave it for some time for the debris on the land to decay. So afterwards, you plant either the cocoa seed or the cocoa seedling on the land, and then you leave it for some time to also germinate. So after the seed has germinated, you move on with weeding, pruning of the cocoa, and spraying of the cocoa until the cocoa starts yielding fruit for harvesting. And that is about 3 to 4 years before you start harvesting your cocoa pods.
What's the difference between cocoa and cacao?
Basically, they are all the same and they all mean the same thing. They are all explaining the Tuberoma cacao tree, that is the cocoa. But the cocoa is an English word and then the cacao is a Spanish word.
When and how you harvest cocoa?
Cocoa has 2 main seasons in Ghana. That is the main season and the lean season. So the main season starts from October to December. That is the peak of the cocoa harvesting period. And then from March to September is the lean season of cocoa. Before harvesting the cocoa, you have to make sure the cocoa on the tree is a ripe cocoa or ready for harvest. So this is a ripe cocoa, which means that it is ready to be harvested. So when it gets to this stage, then you harvest the cocoa.
Can you grow cocoa all year round?
Yes, you can pick cocoa throughout the year, depending where there is more rainfall. Cocoa is a rain-fed crop, so when there is more rainfall, then it means that you can have it throughout the year. In the case where there is, shortage of water for the cocoa to produce fruits, then it means that that period you will not get enough cocoa. And so sometimes those who are into irrigation get cocoa all year round because of the availability of water for the cocoa crops to use to produce their fruit.
What is happening next?
So after harvesting the cocoa beans, the next activity is gathering of cocoa pods. So you gather the cocoa pods that you have harvested from the trees and then you break the pods so that you can remove the cocoa beans from the pots, and then you ferment the cocoa beans for 6 days. So fermentation takes place for 6 good days to have the brownish color of cocoa beans, and then you transport it on a dry mat. So that activity also takes about 4 to 5 days, maximum 6 days, depending on the weather. When there is too much sunlight, then you are talking about 5 days maximum for it to be dried, and then you weigh it at the pieces depot.
Does climate change affect your cocoa?
Yes, climate change has affected us immensely as cocoa farmers because now the weather is not predictable. The time as farmers we will be expecting rainfall, then there will be prolonged drought or sunshine, which does not permit our crops to yield more fruit. Then you see a humid weather where there is also torrential rainfall, which ends up affecting our crops negatively. So the dynamics of the climate change are not now predictable. So it makes the farming very difficult. It reduces our yield and it does not help us to plan our activities very well nowadays.
Is your cocoa Fairtrade certified?
I started supplying Fairtrade cocoa in the year 2019, where we received our Fairtrade certification as Fairtrade organization, and that certificate permits us to produce or supply our cocoa in Fairtrade terms. I like Fairtrade a lot because of their intervention towards farmers and workers and their communities.
How does Fairtrade help you?
Through the Fairtrade Premium, we have been able to, do some developmental projects in my community, like building of schools and then construction of factory, a gari processing factory that help women in my community to be able to have an additional income generating activity aside the cocoa. And also through Fairtrade, children has benefited. We have supplied books and other educational facilities to children to support them in their education. And as a young cocoa farmer, I have also benefited a lot from Fairtrade Premium, which has permitted me to be able to attain a tertiary education. So as a producer organization, our membership stands at 690 members, of which 482 are male farmers and 208 are female farmers. In this, 100 are young farmers.
How did you start supplying towards Colony?
As we started our preparation towards obtaining our certificate in 2019, Tonis Colony was the organization that supported us throughout our preparation until we obtained our certificate. And after we have got our certificate, then we went into agreement. Then we started supplying them cocoa beans. So in 2019, we supplied 100 tons of cocoa, and it kept on increasing till now, where we are supplying them 400 tons this season. Tonis Chocolonely, I know that they are very popular in Scotland, in Europe, and other parts of the world like the Americas, because of their fight against exploitation in cocoa and their seriousness about farmers or producers. And so I would like to encourage consumers out there to keep on buying Fairtrade products, because Fairtrade is very passionate about farmers, their families, and the environment. So anytime you buy Fairtrade product out there, you are contributing to the well-being of farmers and their families, and then protecting the environment at large. So the future is fair together with Fairtrade.